woman says she lost thousands of dollars after scammers convinced her they could get her husband released from immigration custody.
$3,000 gone. As she lost thousands to scammers while desperately trying to get her husband released from an immigration detention facility.
He said, "I am Judge so-and-so of so-and-so." And he said, "I have your husband on the line there at the jail." And my husband later verified that he was standing there.
Rano says the caller knew details about her husband's case
And said, "I'm going to release him on this asylum, and then he's going to go home with an ankle monitor."
Moments later, she got another call, this time claiming to be an attorney who told her she needed to immediately wire money for bond, an ankle monitor, and travel expenses.
"And if you hurry and do this, I can have your husband out in 2 to 3 hours. If not, he's going to go into ice hold, and it could take 30 to 90 days to get him released."
Rana says she sent the money and went to what she believed was an immigration office. That's when she says the truth finally hit.
Not only do I still lose my husband, that realization hits, but I also realize that I've had $3,000 stolen from me at the same time. And not to mention that they got my husband's hopes up. He thought he was coming home.
When your loved one has been detained by ICE, you're scared. You're overwhelmed. You want to get help immediately. And unfortunately, that's exactly when people can make very expensive mistakes. I've been through this journey myself. When my husband was detained by ICE, I was overwhelmed, traumatized, desperately searching for help, and didn't know anything about how all this works. But that's exactly when people get taken advantage of and even scammed. So the things I'm about to share with you could save you thousands of dollars, help you avoid being scammed, and could even protect your loved one's immigration case. Unfortunately, not everyone calling themselves an immigration professional is qualified to help you. Some families have lost everything because they trusted the wrong person. I've seen many families at the detention center go through many lawyers trying to fight their loved ones' cases. And while it's easy to sign a retainer and hire a lawyer, it's not so easy to take one off your case and bring a new one in. Valuable time and money can be lost switching lawyers. So before you sign a retainer agreement or hand over your hard-earned money, let me show you some things you need to do. Number one, make sure they really are a licensed lawyer. Now, I know this seems obvious, but you would be surprised how many people just breeze right past this just because they are sitting in a nice office or the person behind the desk seems to know what they're talking about. Friends, don't just take a stranger's word for it. You don't know them, and there are many frauds and many scams out there. Now, there is not a single website that shows you all licensed lawyers. Lawyers are licensed by each state, so you will need to ask them which state they are licensed in, get their full name, get their bar number, and then look them up in that state's bar directory and find out if they have ever been suspended or disbarred. Now, after you have done that, you will want to check if they are eligible to practice in immigration courts, or what is known as EOIR, which stands for Executive Office for Immigration Review, which runs the immigration courts. And this is extremely important if your loved one is in ICE detention or in removal proceedings, because the case will be heard by an EOIR immigration judge, not ICE or USCIS. Now, there is a website you can go to for a list of all lawyers that are not eligible to practice in immigration law courts. And that website is justice.gov. And if your lawyer or the lawyer you're thinking about hiring is on that list, absolutely do not hire them. And in many countries, a notario is a lawyer. But in America, a notary public is not a lawyer. Neither is anyone that calls themselves an immigration consultant, an immigration specialist, a visa agent, a document preparer, a paralegal, or a legal assistant. Number two, ask the lawyer about their experience. How long have you been practicing immigration law? Have you recently handled cases like mine before? And what was the outcome? Now, if your loved one is in detention, ask them if they are familiar with handling detained cases and if they've handled similar cases to yours and what was the outcome. Did they get a bond? Were they released? Did any get deported while they were in the process? Did any get out on a habeas corpus? Did they get a green card? How many cases like mine have you won and lost? Then ask the lawyer something very important. Do I have a strong case? And what would be your strategy to win our case? And what are our chances of winning? Now, if the lawyer tells you everything looks perfect or guarantees you'll win, that's a red flag because no honest immigration attorney can promise how the case is going to turn out. Every case is different, and no one controls how an immigration judge or how USCIS will decide. Friends, these are questions you need to ask to make sure your loved one gets the justice they deserve and has the best chance of winning their case. Number 3, ask them for references. Get a few names and phone numbers of current and previous clients that you can call and ask them what it was like working with this lawyer. How well did they handle their case? How well did they communicate? And would they recommend them? Number 4, find out who will actually be handling your case. Will the attorney you met with be working on it? Or will most of the work be done by a paralegal or another lawyer? Now, there's nothing wrong with a legal team, but you do deserve to know who you'll be communicating with and who will be working on your case. And speaking of communication, ask how often you'll receive updates and what's the best way to reach them. What is their business cell phone number? How to reach them after office hours? And what about how to reach them in case of an emergency? How long does it usually take for them to return phone calls or answer emails? Guys, understand that communication is extremely important, especially when a loved one is in ICE detention. So many people have told me that their lawyers were not getting back to them and are having trouble getting them to answer their calls, return their emails, and get answers and updates from them. This is important because people in ICE detention can be moved in the middle of the night. They can go missing from the ICE locator. So it's important to be able to reach your lawyer if things go wrong so you can get their help quickly. Number 5. Now let's talk about money. And here's where things get wild. Attorney fees can vary drastically from one lawyer to the next. I've heard of some lawyers asking for 30,000 up front, while others ask for 15 for the same case. I have heard of some that will charge a flat fee to cover the whole process from start to finish of your case, when while others want everything up front or offer payment plans or charge for each step of your case. So it's really important to talk to a few lawyers before choosing one that is best for you and your ability to pay. And if someone tells you one price over the phone, but then gives you a different price in writing, you need to stop and ask them to explain why. You need to ask exactly what the retainer fee covers. Does it include court appearances? Are there additional fees? And will you charge me a flat fee or by the hour? And what about court fees? Keep in mind that most lawyer fees do not include court fees, which are usually separate from their fees. And then what happens if you decide to hire another attorney later? What happens to any unused portion of your retainer? And before you sign anything, read every page of the retainer agreement carefully. If there's something you don't understand, ask. And don't let anyone pressure you into signing on the spot. Number 6. Now let's go over some major red flags. If someone guarantees you they'll win your case, that's a red flag. There are no guarantees. And with immigration policies changing on an almost daily basis, and they just don't know what will happen, and what policy will change tomorrow that will affect your case. If they claim to have special connections with immigration judges or government officials, that's a red flag. And if they tell you to lie or submit false information, walk away immediately. That's fraud and will seriously damage your immigration case. If they refuse to give you copies of paperwork, that's another warning sign. You should receive copies of everything that's filed in your case. And if they only accept cash or wire payments and don't provide receipts, serious red flag. And if they're hard to reach before you hire them, don't expect communication to improve after they've been paid. Number 7. Now let's talk about scams. Immigration attorney scams are running rampant these days. With all the ICE arrests and high demand for immigration attorneys, scammers are using people's desperation and fears to make a lot of money. Right now, it's like Christmas every day for immigration lawyers. My husband was scammed by an immigration lawyer who took a very large amount of money from him. Thankfully, that lawyer was later charged and convicted, but that came at the cost of my husband missing an important hearing and being ordered removed because he never received notice or any communication from his attorney, who was on the run fleeing charges himself. The result was my husband's detention and it costing us an enormous amount of money in appeals and getting a new attorney. Now, a big scam happening right now is bond scams. Now, these scammers are out to take advantage of people who want to get their loved ones out of ICE detention. They will post on social media, such as TikTok, promising to help get your loved one out of ICE detention. They'll say things like, I checked, and the bail to get them out is this much, and all you have to do is wire, Zelle, Western Union, Cash App, get gift cards, send me Bitcoin, and I'll pay it and get them out. Then disappear right after getting the money. Or scammers may call you or email you pretending to be DHS, USCIS, or even ICE. They can even spoof a phone number and make it appear they're calling you from any one of these agencies. They can demand that you pay them over the phone or send them money or threaten to deport your loved one. Friends, this is an absolute scam. ICE does not call demanding bail or bonds, and this is not even how immigration bonds work. First of all, there is no bail. There is bond, but in order to get that, the person must file for a bond hearing, go to court, and a judge will set the bond amount. And those are normally paid at an ICE ERO facility. And then there are the fake lawyers who will tell you they will help you if you send them money. And also, there's another big scam that a viewer on this channel recently fell victim to. She got an email with a USCIS logo on it saying that they had assigned her a pro bono lawyer and that she needed to send some money to cover the tax. This is an absolute scam because USCIS, ICE, or ERO never assigns you a lawyer. And again, friends, this is not how hiring a lawyer even works. You should meet with the lawyer, preferably in person, verify that they're licensed to practice in that state, and be given a retainer agreement to sign. I know when you're desperate to get your loved one out of ICE detention and you're traumatized because of the situation, that you are more vulnerable to making wrong decisions. And the scammers know this too. So please, don't give any money to anyone pressuring you without first checking and double checking. And if you're not sure, then ask a friend or a family member or an immigrant rights group for help and advice first. And finally, friends, do not just hire the first immigration lawyer you talk to. You should try to speak with 2 or 3 immigration lawyers before making your decision. Compare their experience, their communication, and their strategy and their charges, as this is one of the most important decisions you'll make for your loved one. Please know that hiring the wrong lawyer could cost your loved one their freedom and end in their deportation rather than their adjustment of status or released from detention. I've seen it happen many times. So please make sure to verify that the lawyer is licensed to practice law and keep copies of every receipt, document, and email related to your case. Take your time and do not let fear rush you into a decision. It's better to spend a little extra time verifying someone's credentials than to lose thousands of dollars and put your loved one's case at risk. Friends, I don't want you to have to go through this process feeling completely alone. I hope this helps you find the right lawyer to win your loved one's freedom. And if this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share with someone who may be facing an immigration emergency. And check out our other videos on ICE detention and knowing your rights videos. I pray that all of you watching this that have loved ones in detention right now or never scammed are able to get them the help they need and get them free. God bless and protect you all.